Hi, I'm Robin.
Hi, I'm Tashama. We are lawyers by day and figuring life out by night.
When you see the word organic on the label, what does it really mean? Who is really making sure that that claim is true?
In this episode, Robin and I will be taking a deep dive into the regulations surrounding labeling produce as organic.
Before we get further into this episode, while both Tashama and I are lawyers, we are not your lawyers. We are not providing legal advice in this episode. We are simply sharing our thoughts and ideas. If you would like or require legal advice or representation, please contact an attorney directly. Also, while we may cover some health and wellness related topics, we are not doctors or psychologists. If you have medical questions, please consult your doctor. In addition, the content in this episode represents our opinions alone and not the opinions of any entity that we are employed by or associated with. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into this episode.
So, Robin, I'm going to dive right in. In the United States, who is in charge of organic food labeling?
So it's actually a little bit confusing. So it's actually the USDA that regulates organic labeling, which is through the National Organic Program, which is not the FDA. So the USDA actually sets the standards for certifies produce, whereas the FDA actually oversees food labeling in general. So it doesn't really define or enforce organic labeling procedures. I mean, that said, the FDA does play, an important role in food labeling compliance under the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. It's just the USDA enforces these standards by imposing penalties, and then they also have the right to revoke organic certifications to businesses that don't live up to the organic labeling standards. So we actually do dive a little bit more into this in another episode, but for the most part, the USDA is the one that's actually in charge of ensuring that labeling is correct on organic produce.
Yeah. Okay. And so we've all seen the organic label. We see that on produce and on other things. And there's a certain perception when we see that sticker that people have of what it means. So I'm curious, what is actually required for produce to be labeled as organic?
Right. So most people think that there's, no pesticides at all in organic, but that's actually not true. Essentially, you can still have 5% non-organic ingredients in organic food. Also, labels such as, made with organic ingredients only, they actually only require that 70% of organic ingredients, or that ingredients in the food are organic.
I think that's very interesting. And I actually think that's a very important point because people do, I think, have a perception of what it means to be organic. And so basically what you're saying is that food can be labeled organic even if pesticides are used.
Right. That's exactly correct. So also too, with some organic farms, so actually organic farms are allowed to use natural pesticides. And there are some USDA approved synthetic substances, such as copper sulfite. And there's other, which actually has a really high toxic level. And there's some other synthetic substances that are actually allowed in organic produce.
Yeah, very interesting points and very important points, because again, when people typically think of organic, they often think of things having a certain level of purity or, are void of certain things. And it's just very interesting to know that even though it says organic, there could still be certain things inside that you normally think. So that's interesting. Now, are there any new developments with organic food labeling that you're aware of?
So actually, since 2023, the USDA actually made a lot of tighter regulations, and also like especially with fraud enforcement on organic labeling. So yeah, I mean, especially with the new administration, there's definitely a lot of changes. So yeah, so there's definitely a lot of recent policy changes. So there's it's definitely something to pay attention to if you're interested in ensuring that your food is actually pesticide free. So yeah.
And is there any way that consumers can verify whether a product is truly organic?
So definitely look for the USDA organic label or organic seal on food. You know, as we just discussed, there's some issues with that. There's still a certain percentage of your food that is allowed to have, pesticides and things that we wouldn't think of as organic. Also, there's the Organic Integrity Database if you want to research a little bit more on your own to see how your foods are compliant with organic regulations.
Wonderful intel. Thank you so much for that. I want to talk a little bit about some other resources. If you want to learn more information, you can search for their USDA, the NOP database, and check out the FDA's site too. Also, we are planning to release an episode about organic animal products soon as well. So please check that out.
Yes. Yeah. And also, if you're interested in this topic or other health law related content, please like and subscribe, and we will definitely put out more content for you.
Thank you so much for watching. We are grateful to have you listening today. Please stay happy and healthy.